is named after a book authored by David Osborne, who was our director emeritus. Together with my co-director, Curtis Valentine, we are continuing David's work of advocating for 21st century systems of schools. And to us, that means schools that have autonomy to innovate, free from interference and bureaucracy. We believe that educators who are afforded the autonomy coupled with accountability know their students' needs the best. And we believe that this is also a path to better choices for parents and ultimately to educational equity. Today, we are talking to a crew here from California. Joining me are Kai Kung, the CEO of San Joaquin A+, Stuart Spencer, Executive Director of the Lodi Wine Grape Association, Kathy Stoneham and her niece Francesca Stoneham, winemaker and vineyard operations, respectively, at Stoneham Vineyards. Amy Wilson is here. She's a teacher from Valley Robotics Academy in Lodi. And we also have a student with us today, Quentin Soria, who is also from Valley Robotics Academy in Lodi. So thanks to all of you for giving us your time today, and we're really excited to hear what you have to say. But just real quick, I want to set the stage for today's discussion, which is presented as part of our Futures of High School series. Today, we're focusing on an exciting program in California's Central Valley. The Central Valley is one of the nation's largest agriculture regions, and one of its major products is grapes grown for winemaking. Growing Futures is a partnership project that is designed to introduce high school students to career pathways in the wine industry that they would otherwise most likely be unaware of. Take a look.
So Lodi is a farming community. As you drive around the town, you'll see grapes everywhere. There's vineyards for miles.
Lodi is in central California, about 40 miles south of the state capital of Sacramento. We are 2.5 times the number of grapes grown here than Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino combined.
The school mascots are names of grape varieties. The police cars have grapes on the side of them. Everyone is somehow connected to grape growing.
One of the challenges we face here in Lodi is attracting talent.
Where we used to get kids right out of high school, it's a struggle for us to find those kids now because they don't have any background in this. That is probably the #1 reason why we don't have the workforce we used to have.
In the past, the Lodi workforce was very family farms. It was passed on from generation to generation. That's who ran the farm.
I have 2 boys and would love to have them involved with the family operation. My one boy has made his intentions that really doesn't want to continue on managing this once we're all gone.
What better way than to reinvigorate the family farm with our local youth and bring their new ideas, their energy, their enthusiasm into the family farm?
The goal for employers and why they're so interested and committed to this project is they're really thinking about their workforce of the future. They understand some of the challenges that they are facing as an industry. Their preference is that local people are best equipped to solve those issues.
The Growing Futures initiative is an agriculture-focused early college and career program.
This will become one bunch of grapes right here,
where students have the opportunity to engage in agriculture-focused, career-connected learning opportunities.
To me, it's just like creating opportunities and pathways for the kids in our community into our industry.
What you just saw there was a clip from a 2023 documentary produced by our aforementioned partner, the 74million.org. And in it, you saw Don Shalvey speaking near the top. Don was a giant in education improvement, and our entire sector will forever be grateful to his contributions. He was also the mastermind of this project as the founder of San Joaquin A+. And today we have the current CEO of San Joaquin A+ with us, Kai Kang. And Kai, could you tell us a little bit about your organization and then kind of segue into how this program got started and why you felt strongly that it was something worth doing?
Of course. Well, first things first, thank you, Tressa, and to your team at PPI for getting the word out about our terrific students, employers, and schools here in San Joaquin County. So San Joaquin A+ is a nonprofit based here in Stockton. Our core mission is to ensure that more of our youth in the region are doing what they love and earning what they need by the time they're 26. And one of the primary ways we do that is to work with employers and schools to bring career exposure and work-based learning opportunities to students. We really want to introduce opportunities for our young people to really start to figure out, what it is they're passionate about and can see themselves doing professionally, and then actually back that up by providing them with real-world experiences to test out those emerging interests. One of the best real-world experiences that we offer is a paid summer internship with local employer partners across multiple industries. So we really believe that this is a win-win for our community, because not only does it provide an invaluable experience for our young people, but it also feeds the talent pipeline and future workforce of our local industry, as you heard in that video. In many respects, I think our work supports regional economic development. And so one of the more important industries locally here is the wine industry. I mean, the size and the magnitude of the industry and just how impressive it has been is really astounding. And I know, Stuart can speak more to the industry writ large, but I think our local employers in the wine industry have really been the innovators that have jumped in with both feet and made our program what it is today. And so I'm so glad you'll be able to hear from some of them today.
That's terrific, Kai. And how do you identify some of the employers that you seek partnerships with?
Yeah, I think for us and for the benefits of the students, we're really looking for employer partners that, of course, are, looking to build their workforce of the future. And so in that respect, are self-interested, right? Really see young people here in the region as part of the solution, to sort of their challenges and workforce of the future. But are equally invested in the experience of the young person, right? And are committed to youth, right? And so what I think that looks like in our internships, or what it's looked like so far, is our employer partners really spend a lot of time thinking about job descriptions for our summer interns, right? You'll hear more from Quentin Soria in a few minutes, but you'll see our interns over the course of the 6-week internship rotate from one department to the other. And it's all with the service of, benefiting the student, making sure that students have a broad introduction to the industry, to the specific employer partner, and all facets of the business and organization. And so that's really what we're looking for from our employer partners. Again, it's that, clearly like self-interest in making sure that they have local diverse talent to fill jobs of the future, but at the same time, an investment in our youth and making sure that they have really positive experiences.
That's awesome. And what kind of feedback are you getting? This is your second summer, your second cohort just started with their interns. And from what I understand, you're already growing. And I'd just be curious to hear how you're growing and what's happening this summer that may be a little different than last year.
Yeah, Growing Futures is growing. We started our summer internship program last summer, as you said, Tressa. We had 5 employer partners, 7 interns. So we started very small and humble. And this summer we have 33 student interns and 17 employer partners. What's a little bit different about this summer is, word has gotten out here locally and regionally across sectors, right? So I think the wine industry have really been the pioneers behind this and really served as the foundation for our employer base this past summer. And this summer, we have employers spanning the gamut of local industry. So we have healthcare employers, we have IT employers, in addition to more employers from the wine industry.
Fantastic. And maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those other sectors towards the end of the webinar. I did want to mention to the audience, I forgot to say this up top, but if you have a question, and I hope you will have some, please put them in the chat, and we've reserved a little time at the end to address anything that you might want to hear more about panelists. So function. I as the importance of the participation of the local wine industry. Stuart Spencer is the executive director of the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. Stuart, can you start by telling us what your organization does and what need it fills? Not necessarily with respect to the internships, but just in general, what do you do for the region?
So Lodi Wine Grape Commission is the trade association for the Lodi area growers and vintners. We represent about 700 independent farmers farming around 100,000 acres of wine grapes, represents about 20% of the California premium wine production, as well as we have about 85 wineries that we represent as well in developing their businesses. As a trade association, our work falls into two broad categories. One is kind of marketing, promotion, business development, and the other is, kind of research, education, kind of internally getting better at what we do. And we have a whole line of things we do along that, from running kind of the industry's leading sustainability program, teaching growers about environmentally friendly farming practices and the such.
I see. Full disclosure, I grew up in California and am very familiar with Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino, which are big wine regions. Most people in the country probably heard of Napa at the very least. A lot of movies have been shot there. Do you anticipate, and is it your goal to create kind of more of a tourism industry in Lodi than there has been previously? Is there a conscientious effort to market the region and its wine?
Yeah, so one of the important things to keep in perspective in context as this discussion moves forward is that wine grapes and wine are one of the most value-added agricultural products that are out there. So the conversion of grapes to wine and then selling the bottled wine is a 100-fold increase in value. And so by doing that and keeping more of the grapes here, turning it into wine, and then selling it as bottled wine out of our wineries and tasting rooms, we are capturing a lot more economic development and growth right here in San Joaquin County. So this has been a key strategy of ours from the beginning. And the tourism piece of it is critical to that as well, because that really helps create the sense of place within consumers in the wine world.
I'm so glad I asked that question. I learned a tremendous amount just in your answer. I had no idea about the value of between the grapes and the bottles of wine. And so thank you for that, for giving us that perspective. So turning back to the topic at hand, why did you decide to partner with San Joaquin A+ and to promote this program, and what's your involvement?
Well, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, this shows the power of what one person can do. And I think Don Shalvey at the beginning that really got this going helped propel it forward. I think what we have learned, and we've been working on this for several years, is a few things that I think are key. One, 70% of the kids that grow up in San Joaquin County stay in San Joaquin County. Two, we have a real tough time attracting talent to the Central Valley of California. And part of it is the cost of living in California is very high. Part of it is we're a developing area that people don't want to come to. And so we have seen the best results by growing our own talent. And so when I look at this from an economic development perspective, is we are trying to transition from just growing grapes into making wine and selling wine. We need the talent, the people here to make that happen. And I think this is a great piece of that puzzle, is creating these pathways from our local students and our local community into our industry. And I think the long-term gains of this will be substantial as we help build a talent pool, as well as get our local community more oriented around what we are doing here in the agriculture and viticulture perspective.
Is there an element of increasing diversity in your industry involved in this?
Well, that gets discussed a lot, and I think one of the things it's important to understand, I think San Joaquin County is probably one of the most diverse counties in areas within all of California and all the country. And so by creating this, by just the virtue of the student population, it is creating a lot more opportunities for kids of color and diverse background and poor, kids from less fortunate backgrounds. And so that is an outcome of this, whether it is even delineated as a specific goal.
Yeah, I know that area is very, very diverse, and I know that there's also quite a bit of poverty there. You mentioned earlier the cost of living as being a deterrent. Does the wine industry offer careers that can support families that would live in the area to be able to work there?
I think very much so. I mean, there are a tremendous amount of opportunities, and giving these kids the talent, and the skill set and the interest. I think part of this is also stimulating and creating interest in something, and the hands-on work does that. I think that there are a lot of jobs, and we look at it as not just you're making wine or selling wine. I mean, just within the agricultural sector, there's 100 jobs that support it. The other thing I wanted to circle back on was the diversity question too. I think the other thing that's important for our industry is our country is becoming more multicultural. And I think for wine to continue to be relevant, we need to be relevant within these communities. And by creating a more diverse workforce that is representative of a larger population, I think we are going to have much better chance of making wine a healthy part of a multicultural audience across this country.
That's a very good point as well. And have you actually had any interns working at the Lodi Wine Grape Association, or are you just sort of facilitating other partnerships?
So two things on that. One, we are very fortunate to have Quentin working with us last summer, and we brought him back. And Quentin has restored my faith in the youth of this country because he's a great kid. Secondly, I think you asked Kai earlier on, about how do you find the employers, and I think for programs like this to be really successful, it requires that public-private industry partnership, and I think it works because they have our support here, and we can build the bridges to the agricultural and the wine community that if he was coming from the outside in, it would be much more difficult for them to create those connections.
Great. And we can't wait to talk to Quentin. And Quentin, I promise not to ask you any difficult questions while your boss is in the room, so to speak, the virtual room. I want to turn now to Kathy and Francesca. Kathy, you are a former educator and now you're a winemaker. That is quite a wonderful career trajectory. Tell me about why you decided to offer internships and what your experience has been so far.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that in the summer of 2023, I was invited to attend an event, and a number of other business representatives were also invited to attend that event. And at that event, San Joaquin A+ explained Growing Futures and their pilot program. And I was very, very impressed with what I saw and what I heard. So I left that meeting with the intent of following up and somehow getting Stoneham Vineyards involved in that and part of the summer intern program. The other thing is I've been a business owner for about 44 years. And as you mentioned, 35 years in education. And if I have learned anything, the most important thing to me is opportunity and mentorship for people in their life to create a difference. And so I felt like being a business owner and an educator, we were pretty set up to maybe become part of this and do something great. I feel like through the summer intern program, we have the opportunity to educate and support our youth. And we also have the opportunity to create a path So if they do want to become involved or have a career in either viticulture or agriculture, they are fully supported in that. All that being said, we are now part of the program. We're about halfway through, and our intern is phenomenal. And both my niece and I enjoy working with him. And we feel that this is a way for us to give back to the community and to support the wine industry.
And is your intern actually making an impact in the business? Are you getting the labor that you need?
We are. It's all part of a training. This is a brand new experience for him. Physical labor and being out in the vineyard is a brand new experience. So lots of support and lots of education. And but I feel he has a tremendous attitude, a positive attitude, and I think that's the most important thing.
That's awesome. Great to hear it. Now, Francesca, you're vineyard operations, right?
That's right. Yeah, we wear a lot of hats as being a small business. So my aunt and I manage the vineyard together.
That's great. Have you been supervising your intern this summer?
Yes.
Tell us what kinds of things he's doing.
Yes. First of all, we're so happy to be a part of this, and we love our intern. So he's learning all the aspects of the business. So one of the main things is the vineyard, so vineyard operations. He's learning our viticultural practices, and with the focus on them being sustainable, and then also for the health and longevity of our vineyard. The Lodi area supports a lot of very old vineyards. We want to keep them around. So it's also teaching him those types of practices. So seasonally here, he has learned to sucker the vines, and he's shadowed in some leaf pulling. So those are two practices in the vineyard. And also reinforcing the importance of using your body, being outside, manual labor. It's not something kids in this generation do a lot of. So it's been a really positive experience for him in that regard as well. We're trying to inspire a love for nature because he's learning a lot about nature. He's from Stockton, and he himself has said, I'm surrounded by buildings and it's just so peaceful out here. So I think that's just going to be a part of what he comes away with naturally. He's learning the winery aspect, of course. So my aunt, the winemaker, it will be shadowing her. We're gearing up next week to do some maintenance of the wine that's aging. So he's going to learn to put sulfites in, test and do sulfites. So there's going to be some basic formulas. And in there, he's also going to shadow our cellar master named Chris. Chris comes from a very humble background. He's Filipino, and he knew nothing about winemaking before he joined our team. He's going to be a really positive, strong male figure to look up to. And we also have an organic garden that he's learning all about and how that integrates into what we do. So he is harvesting, weeding. He's going to be manning a little farm stand that's a pay what you can farm stand. So that reinforces having access to organic food for people who don't generally have access, because it's a pay what you can. And yeah, we're just offering experiences that are, we're hoping, formative for his age. He started off the other day with goal setting. So we had him write his goals for his time with us as an intern. He went through it, he wrote them down, he shared them, and then he's going to return to them at the end of his internship. So we're kind of offering more, just an opportunity to be a well-rounded person, hopefully by the end of this, more well-rounded person. And yeah, so we're trying to boost those types of things, you know, given his age and everything. Yeah.
That is a very, very thoughtful, well-rounded internship. That just sounds wonderful. You know, you hear about internships where people are just told to sharpen the pencils or, you know, go stand by the copy machines type of thing. And just the fact that you thought about the organic nature and the nature and being outside and the physical labor and, you know, mixing it up with spending time with the cellar master. What a terrific experience for that young man, Kathy. And you think he's responding to it well and getting a lot out of it?
Oh yeah, he is. His mom she picks him up every day, and his mom shared that that's all he talks about is coming back the next day. So that right there, I feel like we already have like a very special relationship with him. So we'll just continue to build on that.
Oh, and he does do one more thing. He's learning some marketing. We have put him in charge of, when he's here, of our social media, which of course, you know, he is very comfortable with. So he's been doing video diaries, where he tells everyone on the channel about his day and he recaps, and he's really, you can see a lot of confidence come out when he does it. And so, yeah, he's learning. And then, you know, of course, as a small business, social media is part of our marketing. It's a strong suit of the younger kids. So, yeah, it's allowing him to take ownership in an area too.
Where can we find that, Francesca? Or I'm sorry, Kathy, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, right, piggybacking on that. So one of his goals was very perceptive, and it would be for any younger person nowadays, is he feels like he just answers questions with a yes or no, and he wants to become better at conversations. So we put that in the back of our mind, and then we were out finishing painting some signs for the garden, directional signs. And Fran asked him about, it's AI, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's AI. And if you could have heard that conversation he was teaching me, and it was just a great conversation about that entire thing and how it's gotten to be creating it's kind of spooky in a way, but anyway, these creations that can do basically anything and not just process, but feel. So he was working on his conversation because it was an area that he was an expert in.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, nothing makes me feel happier and makes my heart happier than hearing about multi-generational, you know, intergenerational learning from one another and interacting. I absolutely love that. Maybe it's because I was so close to my grandmother when I was younger, but I think that's really special that he's getting that and that you're getting it from him. And I'm going to go back to my question, Francesca, where could we see this video diary if we want to look it up?
Yeah, so our Instagram, it's our business page, Stoneham Vineyards and Winery. And when he's here, he does the stories. So they're the stories that are up for 24 hours. But we can also, maybe we could just record these so we can have them to where they don't go away, because they go away in 24 hours. But I've been sharing them with San Joaquin A Plus, and maybe we need to record them.
Maybe you do, because that would be really fun to follow his progress for the rest of the summer. So spell the name of the vineyard just so people can search it with the right spelling.
Stoneham, STON as in Nancy, UM as in Mary, Vineyards and Winery. So Stoneham Vineyards and Winery.
Okay, well, I'm going to be following you within a couple hours from this webinar concluding. And actually, this conversation about social media and technology could not be the more perfect lead-in. We know that technology is changing every industry, and the wine industry is no different. And that's one reason why people like yourselves and the Wine Grape Association are seeking a new crop of bright young workers. And I'm going to roll one more short clip to illustrate that.
We're slowly converting over to the machine era. Where we're going to go from this point, we're going to go into smart machines, robotics. And that's way out of my league. That younger generation, that's nothing to them.
There's probably 100 different careers that are connected to the wine industry.
So that's Grenache Blanc is the lighter, and then Grenache Noir is the darker.
You could be talking about working a pest control advisor, marketing.
You can be an accountant, you can be a lawyer. There's so many jobs related to our giant industry.
Tressa, I think you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Kai. Thank you. Yes, so we are so fortunate to have with us one of the bright young students that the industry is seeking. Quentin Soria is a junior at Valley Robotics Academy in Lodi, and he is part of the Growing Futures program. Quentin, and I think I'm correct in understanding that you're beginning your second summer internship in Growing Futures?
Yeah, this is my second year working with Stuart at the Lodi Wine Grape Commission. I was part of the pilot program last year, and I also worked with him last year too.
So what are you doing in your internship on a day-to-day basis?
Well, like Kai kind of mentioned earlier, I'm getting to see all the different facets of the Lodi Wine Commission. So I've been getting to work with their admin, their accounting manager, and their marketing team. So it kind of depends day to day, just depends on what they need help with. But mainly when I'm working with their admin, I'm doing things like website management and maintenance. With their accounting manager, I've been doing a lot of filing and preparing for the upcoming fiscal year. And then with the marketing team, I've just done things like helping with the Lodi Winery newsletter that they send out.
So what's your favorite part of the internship so far?
Just being able to see all the different parts of the business. I want to go into business myself someday, and seeing all these different facets that this small business has is really interesting to me.
That's great. And can you identify any important things that you're learning in the internship, both last summer and this summer, that you wouldn't have learned just being in the classroom?
Well, even before the internship, before I even know I had the job, so applying for this job and the hiring process was very enlightening to me. So I got to learn how to build a resume, actually interview for the position, and just get prepared for all that.
That's a really great experience, and that's a valuable tool that will follow you for your whole life.
Yeah. And then I also got actual work experience from it. So working with the small team down here, and then also just learning to get projects and assignments done on deadlines and getting it done well. So.
Does it make you really happy when you feel like your boss is pleased and that you're contributing?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I like feeling like I'm of help.
Yeah, a boost to your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has the internship changed you in any way, like given you more self-esteem? Is there other things that you could identify that you're getting out of it that aren't maybe just the actual skill training, but just for yourself?
Yeah, so I think it's helping me communicate. I'm always asking a lot of questions to people that are giving me the product. So the different team members here. So like even public speaking, like things like this, or just small communication along with the team. And then also just for future jobs, if I need to apply or get ready or build a resume for that, I also feel more prepared to do that in the future.
And you have something really good to put on your resume now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
also,
great.
It's helped me network and meet a lot of new people and just build up my network. So
that is another skill that will follow you for the rest of your life. And that is something that I think people your age probably don't realize how important networking is, and building up a network of people that you can use for references or just to get mentoring or advice. And, it's just very, very powerful. So that's great that you're starting that at this age. Now, is this something that you ever recommend to your classmates? Do you talk about it at school?
Oh yeah, I would definitely recommend this. I think it's really good for students who like want early work experience. I'm 16 and I started last year when I was 15, so I got to start out earlier than other people. And I think it's also good for students who don't necessarily know what type of career they want to go into, and this is just another aspect that they could look into, and it's really just a new idea for them. And then it also gets students into the local businesses and into just seeing what happens in their community.
You mentioned that you're thinking about going into this industry as a career. Is there a particular aspect? Do you have a dream? Do you have an idea of what you want to do?
Well, I want to go to Berkeley or the University of the Pacific and get my MBA in finance or project management. But after that, I want to come back here and stay local, and I'll just take any good opportunities that arise. So nothing super specific, but I would definitely be willing to work in
I don't know.
wine.
I heard that you were thinking about opening a restaurant someday.
Oh yeah, that would be great too. I would love to do that here.
Yeah, that would be great, and partner with all the local vineyards to have their wine on your wine lists.
Yeah,
Well, I
definitely.
promise you, if you pull that off, I'll come be a customer.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Amy, you're here wearing two hats today. You're Quentin's mom, and you're also a teacher at Valley Robotics Academy in Lodi. Now, I know you're on the elementary side, but I'm curious to hear, before we get into your experience as a mom watching Quentin, has this had an impact at school? Is there a buzz about it? Do you think that there was a particular reason why Valley Robotics was well suited for something like this?
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for including me. I'll tell you just a little bit about Valley Robotics Academy and why I think it's very well situated to be part of this initiative. Valley Robotics Academy is an independent study K-12 alternative education school in Lodi Unified School District. VRA was developed as a joint collaboration between Lodi Unified and San Joaquin Delta College. And it offers dual enrollment, so core program high school classes, as well as general education college courses to high school students. Students graduating from VRA have the opportunity to learn, oops, one moment. Okay, to earn a high school diploma, an associate's degree, as well as an associate's transfer degree. And then earning college credits in high school saves families thousands of dollars. And especially it's helpful if students are planning to go to, continue on to a four-year university. At a practical level, high school students become familiar with the college semester structure, the enrollment process, study practices, and course standards and expectations as they navigate their way through the college system. And then one thing that's really nice again about VRA is we look at future prep in general in different areas. Going to VRA feels almost like a soft launch into higher education for students. Students get to experience college life at the local community college, and they also receive lots of support and guidance along the way while they're still in high school. So they get a jump start into learning about higher education and the skills and knowledge they'll need if they choose to continue into a four-year university program, while still just being in high school and knowing that they're in kind of a mentorship capacity. VRA is a really great fit for the Growing Futures Initiative because it's another avenue for students to develop career technical education or CTE skills through job shadowing and internships. The initiative complements the VRA mission by providing applicable on-the-job training for high school students. It's another element to our school model that adds to the culture and the climate of personalized mentorship, counseling, and support for students. I think VRA students also appreciate the individualized approach to education and then the relationships that they build with teachers and staff on campus. And this, again, extends into the initiative itself and the employers that are working with them. Students are also exposed to essential employment experiences through the Growing Futures Initiative, such as job shadowing, applying for internships, preparing for the interview process, as Quentin mentioned, and then gaining knowledge through work, tasks, and projects. The initiative also positions them to be more prepared for and competitive in the local workforce once they graduate from high school. And then again, partnering or going back to what Quentin mentioned, it creates that local network and system of support as they begin their adult young life.
Sounds like an amazing school. How long has it been around?
It began in 2019, 2020. So we're about 5 years in now.
That was a crazy time to start a new school.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I'm glad you survived and came out on the other side of that. What kind of school is it? Is it a district school? Is it a private school? Is it a charter school?
It is a public school. It's categorized as alternative education, but it's a public school within Lodi Unified School District.
I see. And it's K through 12, is that right?
Yes, it initially started as secondary and then grew in, and we added on the K through 6 portion of it. So it's fully K through 12 now.
That's awesome. You mentioned all these different aspects of, the internships and the college preparedness and the networking and everything. Have you had much contact with the kids who've done these internships besides Quentin? And do you see a change in them? I know, again, you're not in the high school, you're on the elementary side, but I'm assuming you must have some interactions, some contact.
Absolutely. So because we are K-12, we do have interaction with some of the secondary kids because they serve as TAs. And then through Quentin's friendships, I'll see them on campus. And it is a small community school. So we really do know who our kids are and who our families are. I would say, as I speak, as a mother for Quentin and also for his peers, they were really happy to find out the initiative was going to take place again this summer, as they were waiting for information in the spring for it to roll out. They love the opportunity to be able to work and so have that work experience in summer, but it's internship based, so they know they're learning and they're getting that support while also getting money as their summer job. So that's a definite perk and plus for them. I'll speak again kind of as a mother, but also I think it's very applicable to many of his peers that participated in the program last year and then also this year. He really had a phenomenal internship experience with Stuart and his team over at the Lodi Wine Commission. And I, as a parent, appreciate this opportunity for Quentin because he's learning life and job skills that he wouldn't necessarily get through his high school classes or even the college courses, the online and on-campus college courses, because he's learning these other skills that you don't get from a textbook per se, like showing on time or early to work, things like that. Like just, you got to show up on time.
Yeah, the soft skills that employers are always complaining are lacking.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like training for the different aspects of the program, like Kathy and Francesca were mentioning, each of the interns are getting to see the different components and elements within their organization to see, maybe they don't have a specific avenue that they're going on or a target they're going towards, but being able to look at the growing process or the business aspect or the marketing piece or whatever it is, just again, allows students to really think about what might be an opportunity for them that they might not have ever considered. I will say as a parent too, I've loved the opportunity that Quentin has had to learn and grow through the internship. And then also just as the parent-child relationship that we have, it's definitely stronger because we know as parents go through all these different stages in life and stages and phases of life. Each one is so distinct from the other. They're all connected, but it's like, oh, now he's going to be driving soon. And like finishing high school and considering those next steps into early adulthood. And so for me, I really enjoy talking with Quentin about his goals, his dreams, what he wants to pursue as a career and his interests, in the business world post high school. And again, as a mom, it's fun for me to be able to hear his ideas, to help him plan and prepare as much as we possibly can for the journey that lies ahead for him, wherever it takes him. So just looking at finding bridges and paths and, ways to get him from point A to B has been something that I've loved as a parent. Again, as we watch him from 0 till, 18 or 26, as Kai was mentioning earlier, it's for me a wonderful way to be engaged in a positive way that's supportive and loving, but also allowing him to develop on his own and build his own kind of young adult life.
That's awesome. I'm watching my sister grapple with all those things with my nephew. He's just about almost to turn 16 and start driving, and those milestones really tug at the heart, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, Kai, Amy mentioned something that was very important that I had planned to circle back with you on anyway, and that is the Delta College piece to this. Can you talk about why San Joaquin A+ was interested in having college participation and how that partnership worked? Or was that something that was pre-existing at Valley Robotics that drew you to Valley Robotics? Just talk to us about how the college piece fits in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's our core belief. If you have the belief that we need to be better preparing our youth for college and careers, then what they would benefit most from is academic learning in the classroom that aligns to their fields of interest, but also supplemented with these work-based learning and real-world learning opportunities that we mentioned, right? And so a big part of that work on the academic side is figuring out a course of study that meets student needs and actually aligns with their fields of interest. And that's where higher ed is such a critical partner, right? Because as Amy mentioned, a lot of what Valley Robotics students have access to are dual enrollment opportunities in partnership with Delta College. And in fact, Quentin and many of his peers and colleagues and fellow students do take advantage of those. And so what you see is students taking oftentimes electives that are not offered at their high school, for example, that are offered at the local community college. And they get college credit while they're taking these courses. So not only are they learning the technical and academic skills and knowledge and content that they need, to pursue their field of interest, but they're actually, potentially saving on tuition if college is the path that they ultimately choose. So Delta College has been a critical partner in this work, and we're so fortunate for their partnership.
That's terrific. I had meant to ask you about that, so I was really glad that Amy highlighted that part of the partnership with this. And I guess I would go back to Kathy as an educator. Is this something that seems novel to you that wasn't happening maybe when you were in the classroom? These high school community college partnerships, dual enrollment?
Yeah, it was not happening at all. I see it as a number of the kids that I interviewed for this summer intern were describing to me which classes they had taken, and they earned so many units. And I think it's a great thing. And I'm hoping that more of our public high schools can also set up similar things, because it's a great achievement in education that wasn't there when I was teaching.
Right. It certainly wasn't. Was it around when you were in school, Francesca?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago, I can tell. So Stuart, I want to come back to you now. We talked about the fact that the best way to build up the workforce in this industry is to grow your own pipeline. Do you think a program like this can ever scale up to the point that it's really making an impact?
I mean, I think absolutely it can. I think, the core piece of this is a commitment to community. And I think as we move forward, and Kathy touched on it, giving back to your community, and we have to be investing in our community and look at what we're doing in a much greater way than just our own individual businesses. And that's a part, we are fortunate here in Lodi. We have a great sense of community. Ours is unique because it's not one single employer. A lot of these programs you see in other places, it's one big employer, whether it's an Amazon or, a Wonderful or something like that. But, what we are doing here is knitting together all these small employers into a program here. And, what I have found is there's a lot of people like Kathy and Francesca within our community that want to help and give back and make our community a better place. And I think, at the end of the day, this is about making our community a better place. Part of it is helping the ag and wine industry succeed. Part of it is creating pathways for our kids into the industry, but it's connecting it all and getting everyone out of their individual silos and working together for the betterment of the whole.
From where you sit, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm genuinely curious, how important was San Joaquin A+ as the catalyst for this program?
I think they were critical. They were the key piece. And, I mentioned earlier with Don Shalvey that kind of like started building the connections with me and my staff here. And this goes back 5 years ago. And, we've been talking all sorts of things. And then he's connected us with, some of the people at the junior colleges and within the high schools. And so I think they, without them, this would not have come to be. And the other key piece of this, which is helping make this all work, is they are acting as the employer in this. And, in California, there are a lot of restrictions and complications on hiring anybody. And so they are acting almost as if a temp agency for these students, which provides protections and simplicity for the employers.
Wow, that is really important. Kai, I had no idea that your involvement ran that deep.
Yeah, and frankly, it's we do it out of a response from employers that we've spoken to, right? Many of whom are, as Stuart and Francesca and Kathy indicated, are small and medium businesses. They don't have HR staff, for example, to manage talent pipelines to support high school youth in the way that we know that they need to be supported. And so a lot of what we offer is basically a staffing agency for high school youth, right? Where we, as Quentin said, prepare them, give them requisite soft skills training, have them prepare, resumes and interviews, but at the same time, to lower the barriers to engagement on the part of employer partners. We really serve as that HR partner, where we're sort of providing a talent management service, which includes back office, administrative, legal, financial support as well.
Wow, that's amazing. I knew that you were the catalyst for it and the cheerleader for it, but I did not realize that you were actually serving an administrative function that is facilitating making it possible for this to happen. But it makes perfect sense because you can see a lot of employers being willing to bring on an intern, but yet reluctant to take on any liability in doing that. And while we're on that topic, you had mentioned that the program is now branching out to some other sectors. Can you tell me a little bit about where you're going with that?
Yeah, so I think, Tressa, we really think of our work as supporting regional economic development, as I said, right? And I think consistent with that, we are looking to partner with industries and employers in those industries that represent our local economy. And when you look at the Central Valley, it's wine, it's agriculture, it's healthcare, it's education. Those are the primary job producers and will be for the next decade. And so this summer, in addition to wine and ag employers, we also have healthcare employers. We have education/nonprofit employers. There are a number of local children's museums and science museums that we're partnering with that work with youth that we place students at. There are also interns that expressed an interest in IT, and so we've brought in IT companies into the fold as well. And so, as Stuart said, this is really knitting together the community and building pathways for our youth, many of whom stay here locally. We're trying to keep them locally. We're trying to develop and cultivate talent, but also keep them here locally and give them what they need to do that. So we are working with local employers across the gamut in terms of industries.
And what's your end goal? I mean, do you have a figure in mind? Some summer, I hope we have 500 kids or 200 kids. Do you have the capacity to keep growing and sustaining? Because it does sound like a lot of work, and I know that San Joaquin A+ is not an enormous organization.
Sure. I think our goal is to continue to expand the summer internship program. Tressa, I think there are other ways that our employer partners have been involved in providing other kinds of work-based learning opportunities that might be more scalable. So just as an example, right, Stuart, Francesca, Kathy, other employers, we often ask them to just serve as guest speakers in local schools, right? Just as an additional form of career exposure. That's a much lighter lift, right? But potentially equally impactful for a young person. We've asked them to host groups of students at their places of work for job shadow tours, right? Also a very compelling work-based learning opportunity. This coming school year, with our school partners, we're going to be piloting some project-based learning activities that involve employer partners as well. And so what I hope it amounts to, Tressa, is a continuum of scaffolded and self-reinforcing real-world experiences for youth, starting from general and gradually getting more specific as students express their interest, right? So, that's what we'll continue to do. We'll continue to scale. And I think, what I hope never gets lost, even as we serve more students with more employer and school partners, is just the level of care and craftsmanship that I hope your audience is walking away from this call after listening to Francesca and Kathy and Stuart on. I mean, the level of just craftsmanship and care, which obviously shows up in every bottle of Lodi wine, but also trickles down to how they think about supporting interns, right? All just the litany of tasks and the program and supports that Francesca outlined previously in the webinar. That's what we're looking for from all of our employer partners. And that's what we want every student that we support to have, right? And obviously, as we scale, that becomes more of a challenge, but I hope we never lose sight of that, even as we scale.
Right, right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here. And by the way, Kai, what you said about the care and the craftsmanship, it is loud and clear, absolutely loud and clear, and extremely impressive and extremely heartwarming, because it shows real empathy for young people who may be in an awkward situation because it's new and they're inexperienced at it. So yes, I didn't mean to kind of be abrupt at the end of that, but absolutely does that come through, and it's great. We do have a question from the audience, and actually I think it would be nice if everybody took a stab at answering this. You don't have to give a long answer, but just everybody has a different perspective because you're all coming to this program from a different angle. So the question is, not every region is fortunate to have a visionary like Don Shalvey, and boy, is that the truth. What can California learn from the viticulture internship program that it can apply as it prepares to master plan for college and careers? So I think part of what he's asking here is, what's your advice for other places who might be thinking about doing the same? And Kai, why don't we start with you, and then we'll just go down the line.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll offer is just the amazing things that communities can get done, right? I think a lot of policymakers talk about public-private partnerships, collective impact. I mean, we as a sector talk a lot about that. Here is a real example of stakeholders from various groups coming together to do exactly that at the local level. I think, as we think about what the rest of the state can learn, it is the power of the local, where we have relationships and we have the commitment and the incentives to figure things out. How can we better support communities as they grapple with these issues? And of course, state level policy is an important part of that. Federal policy is an important part of that. But I hope that what people take away from this is there's amazing work that our local communities are capable of. How can we best support them?
Stuart, do you have anything to add when it comes to replication in other places?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key of this is building the bridges between the different groups, and it takes an individual and somebody to champion some of these things, and getting it going is the hardest part. Once it's up and going, you build a culture and it grows from there. And I said earlier, we learned everybody was operating in their silos, and I think coming out of the pandemic, that was even more clear. And our junior college was doing things that wasn't necessarily supporting us, and our schools were doing things that necessarily weren't supporting the industry. And how you get this all together at the same table, and then get the government junk out of the way so that we can just make things happen was critical.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the pandemic and the government out of the way.
One of the things I've been really stressing with our community college too is that they need to be much more embedded in the industry and the community. And sometimes they're hiring people that don't even live around here, and and they're not connected to the industry that they're technically supposed to be supporting, and it's those relationships that really make it work.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, we're down to the wire here, but Francesca and Kathy, do you have anything to add about lessons learned from California?
I think the one thing I can think of is I think this webinar today will hopefully reach people, and San Joaquin A+ has provided a wonderful template for what can be done. And like Stuart said, we need to combine with the other members of our community if it's really something that's important to us. But just taking off from maybe what you heard today and from all the work that has been previously done in the pilot program provides at least a starting point.
Right. Francesca, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Great template. It can be brought anywhere to other industries, and absolutely.
Amy and Quentin, any final thoughts?
I wanted to add that the work that San Joaquin A+ did starting 5 years ago and looking at the study and the research of 70% of San Joaquin high school graduating students stay in the area is creating that need and the why for how this is all coming together. I think, as Stuart mentioned, finding those partners and the collaborators that are going to really come together and put in that groundwork and create that foundation is really key. But I think the work that San Joaquin A+ did to look at why we're doing this and how this is going to benefit all parties involved to create a win-win situation was really critical. So I would suggest that to other communities to figure out what is the why and the need in the local community, and finding the partners that would be willing to dig in to create a foundation. Slow start as they roll out and look at scale, but those partners that are willing to dig in.
Thanks, Amy. And we're over time, but Quentin, I want to give you a real quick last word.
Yeah, I just think reaching out to the youth like as early as possible is the best for local communities, reaching out for local talent and just figuring out like students who are in high school who may not know what they want to do. If they really like their internship or their job, they can start planning their future to better align with that job, or it just helps them know what they want to do with their career in the future.
That was a very thoughtful response. I wish you all the best of luck the rest of the summer in your internship and in your high school and college career. I hope everything that you're planning comes true. And to our audience, thank you for staying with us. A recording of this webinar will be on the Progressive Policy Institute website. You can find it on the 74 Million website. It will be on YouTube and Facebook. So we hope if you have friends or colleagues in the profession who might be interested in this, that you'll pass it along. Also, if you found the clips from the documentary interesting, you can find those on the 74 Million website. Just search Growing Futures, and it originally aired on August 1st of 2023. So you should be able to find it. I hope you'll follow us on social media. And I will say in closing that to all of you, we are here to promote and support your work. So keep us apprised of new developments, and we're going to be your cheerleader. So let's keep in touch. And thanks to everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.